Welcome to Bamfordrose and welcome to another forum chat. As usual, it really helps us if you can like, subscribe, comment and hit the bell notification so you always get up-to-date videos from Bamfordrose. Today I found this on a Facebook group somewhere, and it's a question saying, hey, I've got a fault code present, probably an error light on the dashboard. If it's UK, need to pass the annual MOT check. If it's say North America, you have to pass whatever in-market test you have. I know there's a few different ones. Basically, they will be checking that there are no error codes on the dashboard and that certain misfire monitors and other fuel leak detection systems, secondary air injection, catalyst monitors, these monitors have all performed a diagnostic and they are enabled. So in America, it's quite common for the test to be a plug-in to the diagnostic port and check for readiness, whereas in the UK, it's just a probe up the exhaust, checking for emissions compliance and checking there are no fault codes on the dashboard. Really, the UK needs to change a bit because there are many errors that creep in with that way of doing it. The equipment is in error, measuring exhaust gas fumes, and if you were to plug into the engine management system and you're looking for readiness codes and history, there's a much better way than doing it. So I don't know where this particular gent is. He's got a pretty sophisticated fault code reader and he's plugged in, realised he's got a problem with a particular part of the engine. So my point here about this particular problem is how do you fix it? Now this particular one, when I say it, a problem, I'm talking about all of the unnecessary junk which is bolted onto the engine that the maker had to put on to pass emissions. So we're talking about secondary air injection. So this is at cold start. The air injection pump runs, injects fresh air into the exhaust cylinder head, into the port, into the exhaust port, to introduce that fresh air with combusted spent gas, so that when that mixes and hits the face of the catalyst, it exotherms the catalyst up to temperature far quicker than what it would have done if it was just spent gas hitting the catalyst matrix. That's what secondary air injection does. So once the maker has fitted that to the engine and sold the car, it was compliant to the emissions regs needed, then as owners of those cars, all that unnecessary equipment can be junked. Do you really want that? There's no point whatsoever. Again, EGR, exhaust gas recirculation. So this is on the 4.3 V8 Vantage. This is taking a feed off of the exhaust manifold through a small pipe, metered via a valve into the inlet manifold. If you're looking at the front of the engine, it's that valve that's on the left-hand side, just past the throttle body, quite a big valve there. That meters spent gas back into the inlet manifold, typically to about 5% at low speed, low loads. And the inert gas mixed with fresh oxygenated air, that's a tool that engine design developers will use to reduce nitrous oxide emissions. So if an engine's got a nitrous oxide emissions problem, EGR is your friend to cheat your way out of that one. You know, really, you should have designed the combustion chamber properly in the first place. All of these things are bolt-on extras to get out of trouble, really. So again, EGR, it makes drivability, on-throttle responsiveness sluggish. It can have all sorts of problems with valves sticking open and stuff like that. Again, it's another pile of junk. Take it off, throw it away. Take off the secondary air injection, throw it away. The leak detection pump, this particular problem, well, this could be that he hasn't got his fuel cap screwed in properly because it's monitoring that the fuel tank can't pressurise up, so all of the gas that comes off the fuel is potentially not going through the carbon canister and back into the inlet manifold. Perhaps there's some naughty gas seeping into the environment through a leak in the fuel tank, typically the cap somewhere. Again, you know, this is not really going to prevent us from shredding rubber. It's another pile of junk attached to the car that can be thrown away. So you've got a choice. The car's quite old. You can renew all of this technology with expensive parts and you're no better off. Or you can fix it the clever way, which is use the laptop as a tool. You know, the laptop is a spanner, the same as a spanner is a spanner. And you can use a laptop to fix something with. So here, this particular gent, he's only got a fault code reader, so all you can do is turn the fault code off. But if you've got a laptop, you know what you're doing. Remap the engine management system with all of these unnecessary emissions features turned off. Then you can throw the heavyweight items of junk in the bin and you're not going to get any error codes from them. That's what I would do. The other problem that plagues these cars is an error light from the exhaust Lambda sensor. So this is the fueling sensor in the exhaust system. And as the sensor ages, it slows down its response. The signal speed at which it responds at is something that is monitored for legislation. So if the engine needs to go rich or lean, the ECU works that out. It then alters the fueling via the fuel injector, and it needs to see back a signal from the oxygen sensor in the exhaust that that process all took place within a timely fashion. And as the sensor ages, it slows down its response a bit. The ECU doesn't get the signal back in the time it expected, and it pops an error light on. Well, again, you know, the factory retail these sensors for 150 quid, pretty expensive. On a V8, there's 4 of them. They're all going to age. So, you know, the fault code comes on for one of them. They're going to come on for the others soon enough. And, you know, it's pretty expensive to replace 4 sensors at 150 quid. If it was a short to ground, if the signal was corrupted totally, if the sensor wasn't working, then yes, you must replace it. But slow response, nah, that's another laptop fix. Recalibrate the engine management system, use the laptop as a spanner to fix the problem instead of spending money on expensive components to solve the problem. And you know, those components only need replacing because they've gone outside an emissions legislative window, and now we own the cars many years later. You know, we're totally not interested in that at all. So, you know, if you go to, especially franchise dealer, because they're not going to offer these clever solutions because they just want to sell parts off a shelf and sell the labour time to install those components. If you've got slow responding oxygen sensors, a faulty secondary air injection pump, faulty EGR system, faulty leak detection system on the fuel tank, these are all problems which you don't necessarily have to fix with parts. Seek out somewhere that's got a clever laptop and fix them with a laptop.